Here we've got Tracy Thompson from Baker's Mart in West Hope. She's the owner of Baker's Mart. West Hope is in north central North Dakota. So she served as the general manager until the store's closure was under different, the closed under different ownership, and then she ended up purchasing and reopening in this. I want to say probably spring, summer, but she'll give you the details there of 2024. So as she mentioned, she's also a producer. She's a grower at Thompson Farm near Antler, North Dakota. And I do have a link up here, a Farm to Grocery Revolution from 2020 that Tracy was featured in. So if you want to take a look at that, read up a little bit on that to get a little bit more background on what Tracy's going to speak on today. But other than that, Tracy, I'll let you take the floor.
Thank you. So I did purchase Baker's Market started in January. We finalized everything in May. We opened the doors, I think the second week in May. Challenges right off. It's hard because when I was a general manager, I had everything flowing the way I needed it to. Well, then things kind of went bad in a hurry with previous owner. So then trying to get back up and running with UNFI. And my biggest problem was I was the general manager of that store that closed, and the owner had lots of issues out there that I had to buck up against because my name was on this location as the general manager. So I had to explain to these people, I didn't have the checkbook. I didn't write the checks. All of those things kind of was a hurdle that I had to go over in the first time. And I can send you guys what I have wrote up here. It's just I'm drowning in a lack of employees at the moment. So I'll be looking down, but if you have questions, just holler. First thing I think is the economic constraints, basically a limited customer base. We're in a small area, so the population density is low, which means fewer customers, and that reduces our volume of sales. It makes it difficult for the overhead for buying or upgrading things to that level. We have a lot of coolers that need replaced, those types, and so we keep managing them because for me, having a wider variety of product for my customers keeps them coming in the door. And I'm trying to meet a lot of dietitian regulations. People, I'm playing with WIC, then you've got your gluten-free, you've got all of these. So I have to have a wide variety on my shelf. And I'm running into issues where when I get those wide varieties, I might have 3 people buy that out of 12. So then all of a sudden my product is dated and I'm having to put it at my cost to get rid of it. So that's something I run into. I haven't figured out how to get around it because I don't want to not carry that product, because then those people are going to have to go elsewhere. And if they're going to go elsewhere to buy those 2 products, they're also going to spend the rest of their money at that one place. Higher operating cost, just for trucking alone to get my truck up here to this far side of North Dakota, is kind of economic. It's craziness, but I don't really have a choice. We don't have anyone locally in Minot, to get us that wide range of things. Then you have expenses such as utilities, shipping, labor. It just consumes a large part of my revenue. And it's kind of sad because I know the gentleman that owns the bar, he makes more money in a day than I do. So I don't know if that says anything good about West Hope or not. Logistical challenge, like I said, the supply chain issues. Rural stores often on the supply distant urban centers, leading to higher transportation cost. This results in stock shortages, difficulty maintaining a diverse inventory, which frustrates customers, myself, and my employees. Because we're constantly asked if we can please get this in. I would love to. I've even offered people case deals. I would gladly bring in this product for you. Would you want to buy the case, or would you want 6 out of that case and let me shelve 6? Trying to get away so I can get more product in for them. And they don't want to hear that I can't get it because it's going to go out of date. They just want to know why I can't have it. So, and of course, our harsh winters today, I'm looking at a truck that's gelling up. So, for me, that biggest challenge is I staff everybody according to when that truck's going to be here. So, when that truck's 3 hours late, okay, a lot of my employees are from out of town. I've now paid them for 3 hours to sit here. So, luckily today, with everybody out, I didn't have to worry about it. Competition pricing. So right now I am with UNFI, and I can't complain about UNFI at all. They've been good to me. They forgave a lot of things. So with the former person, because I bought the business and the building. So, and they were owed quite a substantial amount, but they gave me a great deal to stay with them as my supplier and wouldn't hold that lien against the building. So they kind of bent over backwards so I could get up and running. And then they offered a credit for 60 days. So I could stock the store again because it was almost empty. So that took quite a bit, a little over $100,000 to stock back. So they were nice and worked with that. And so I can't say anything. And their prices are pretty much across the board. Some of the bigger stores that they deliver to do get a better market. And of course, they're closer and their trucking is not as much, so their freight costs, their fuel charge, that's not as substantial as my own. But I myself, I have mayonnaise on my shelf and it's $11.49. It's ridiculous. I'm not going to buy it at $11.49. I'm trying to train customers that it goes on sale every 2 to 3 weeks for $5.99. Watch it there and then buy it. But today I just put eggs at $13.89 for an 18-pack. So I play to an elder community. So, and they don't have that extra money to spend on a lot of different food if they're, on a set budget. And luckily it is also a farming community. So some of the younger families, they do make up for that when they come in and they purchase those things. But it's hard for me to look at my older customers and watch them buy that because that they're cutting it very thin. So we have Walmart in Botno, which is 38 miles away. And if some of the younger families that they work out of wherever, so they go to Walmart in Minot or Botno, it's more convenient and it's cheaper. So for price competitive in these smaller towns, it's hard to go against them. I am learning that if you give stuff away, people come in, and if I just you have to spend a $20 limit on it, and then you can sign up to win gift basket. And so far that's drawing in people, and they're spending that limit because they might be at $15. Well, they're going to still amazingly spend $5 more so they can sign a piece of paper. And I've had a lot of people donate gift cards and different things for these drawings. For example, in March, we're going to do a March Madness. Every time they spend $25, they earn 1 point. And then at the end of it, there's 25 basketballs on my card. Then they'll get like $25 store cash to spend in here. So learning for incentives, I think, with my higher pricing is helping just to draw some of those people in here. I do get a lot. So my family, we raise beef. And we have it processed at Full Flavor Farms at Daryl Leese's processing plant down there, since it's USDA regulated. So I am getting away with a little bit cheaper beef price, and I can compete with Super Values prices on that and run those prices. So the hamburger's still a little more, but people are willing to pay a little more for that farm raised beef. So, and we have an Akushi Angus blend that's up here. So I am in the market on the grower side to find, once this is all up and running, like pork that's raised locally and those different things. I have learned that customers will pay 30 cents more a pound sometimes if they know that farmer or, rancher, whatever you want to call them. My social community factors, this town is big on community, which is immensely helpful. So our gaming committee here, they kick in and, they help me put the roof on my building because I needed a new roof. Um, for Easter, for Christmas, for not Valentine, just big things, they will buy 50 turkeys from me and do a giveaway. And they'll do 50 hams. So that way they keep the community coming in here. If they're going to come in and sign up for that, they're going to, purchase a few things at the same time because they have to make a purchase in order to sign up. So community support that way is great. The school has now started getting their concession stuff from me. So, and we do a 5% above case cost just so I can help with my shipping cost and my fuel charge. And they don't have a problem for that. I shouldn't say if they get something for their lunch program, their hot lunch program, I do not charge them above case cost. So it's just, that's how it is because they're doing concessions and different things and they're on the government funding as well. But they're still loyal and they come in afterwards. Most of the teachers shop here. So I think that's just my way of contributing back to the school, to help feed children. Consumer preferences are constantly changing and evolving and they want, there's no. That for me, no. So we just keeping up with current trends, trying to do all of that, and then staying true within my budget is kind of a balancing act. Then again, being in a small town, access to capital. Sometimes it's difficult, for loans or find someone for investment because they look at my town of 400 people and wondering why are they going to invest with me? How am I going to secure that and tell them, well, for the next 5 years, this is my goal. This is my business plan. I've got it laid out. I've done that. And sometimes I've been turned down because they look at the number of people in my community and they're not sure. They've looked at other small communities in my area up here and they didn't make their grocery store stay. It was, and I don't know if it's a community thing or I don't understand why they did or how they did it. So that sometimes I get turned down for that. I myself am beginning to wonder how I'm going to stay open for 7 years, but working with, I should say, with like Souris River Basin, there's a lot of good things out there too. And like the EDC, all of those I did, secure funds for. It's still, you have, so some of it, it's paid back out of 1% or 0%, but being in small grocer, you don't sometimes have that much extra at the end. So to get the overhead, and to get ahead and get some of these things paid off, that's where investment would come in. So I do have a gentleman, John from North Dakota Grocers, who has been phenomenal for me, has been calling me, and he actually has a gentleman who is from Belva who's going to come up. He, Sean Vita or Vita, not sure, but he owned his own grocery store and has been in there, is going to help me revamp my business plan because he's been there, he's done that, just, to see if maybe I'm missing something or there's not a step that I'm familiar with. Let's see. But despite all those, it's challenges of the grocery store, but at the same time, at the end of the day, even though when I'm stressed and I'm here, I wouldn't not do it. So because when it was going to close, I looked at a lot of my older people that only drive in town or that I deliver to. And how do I tell them no? So now let me go to the grower side. So, because when I was growing, which was what I would rather be doing, basically, I love tomatoes. I love the smell of the plant. I love that my arms turn green. And I love that I cuss lots when the branches break and all these things. And marketplace was phenomenal. So my biggest challenge when I started to deliver to them was I had a yellow tomato. older people look at me like I have three heads, like they're not going to buy that because they're not familiar with it. So on the grower side, what I would tell them coming to us is that Marketplace was great. They had a meet the farmer day or meet the producer day or however they worded that. And I know Mobby Farm, Holly Mobby, there was a bunch of us there that day. We brought in our produce that we had brought in every week and we let them sample it. And then we had educational information for them. I actually printed up all the stuff on every variety of tomato that I had to offer, all of the peppers, where they originated, and had recipes, because then it helps that those consumers understand, okay, that yellow tomato is less acidic than that red one that I'm going to buy. I can maybe, eat that. So I know because I made salsa and sold that as well. And when I was working with NDSU, when they did my testing and my labeling, they're the ones that told me that my yellow tomato, I think it was a lemon boy, was less acidic than my better boy, which I found to be phenomenal. Right now, I tried to update myself on the laws, I guess, of growers coming to me because I have maybe blindly, luckily, maybe First District wasn't here, let producers just bring me their product. I asked them not to wash it because I wanted to wash it to make sure. I'm kind of OCD, but anyway, I just wanted to make sure it was clean before putting it out into my produce cooler. That produce that is brought in fresh sells way faster than anything I get off my truck. I guess I made stickers for each producer. So when they brought it in, it said, for instance, like mine, for my stickers, it would say Thompson Farms on it when I had it. And I had that sticker made. And at the time, NDSU worked with us and helped us get our labeling and all of that. I'm not sure if they still offer that. But on my side of things, I would rather work with a local producer because maybe I could get lettuce or spinach or any of those things in smaller packaging because some people only want one or two servings. They don't want that full, 8-ounce bag. They want half. I can think the problem that we will run into is a local grower is used to a farmer's market price. So when they go in there, they're going to charge you, $2.20 a pound for tomato, whatever. But when they bring that to me, I can't pay that because maybe that's my retail cost. So they're going to get, less. So with all of you guys, I don't know how we would make it beneficial to them. I guess I was lucky because on my way, I offered them a flat rate. So the growers, the one lady, she always brought me tomatoes and squash. And I told her about how much I would need a week. We kind of figured it out and I just offered her a flat rate. So for me, if I took the loss, I took the loss. Generally, I wouldn't take the loss. I would, do a lunch special in the kitchen or we would, do something so we wouldn't lose that product. So, I mean, there are going to be headaches, I think, with bringing in local, just so the understanding and somehow we have to make it, worthwhile to them. A lot of the things that we faced was delivery. You're not going to have a refrigerated truck back up into where you're growing logistically because it costs too much. So we ourselves, we had to get it into the stores. And now I even see that the people that I worked with, now they're older, they went to Arizona, they wanted me to go out and pick the stuff for them. Well, I'm a sucker, so I did that. But I couldn't really do that if I was managing Marketplace or own. I couldn't do that. That just wouldn't be feasible. So I don't know. All in
Did
all,
you,
I mean,
oh,
is that
did you like when you were going through those prices and stuff, did you mention like that it might be a little bit less? And did they basically just say flat out no? Or how did that conversation go? And you're like, well, I got to sell these at, a certain price. So we have to come down a little bit for margin. Like, how did that conversation go and how was it received? And
I actually sat down and made a graph and showed them what I typically sell, what I sell it at, where my sales range goes, and with both products, and showed them kind of exactly what my sales were. And Rose was very understanding. I mean, she looked at it. So I gave her a flat rate and I just went about $10 over what my sales were. And she was okay with that. She understood that I wasn't, trying to, cheat her out of anything. And with that, she had a few people contact her to buy directly from her. So because I'm not above saying, hey, I've only got this much, but I know if you contact that grower, you can get it at a different price for, more quantity. Because like for my cucumber guys, I can't logistically bring in 50 pounds of cucumbers because I'm going to be making pickles in 2 days. But they can contact whoever, grows that.
Yeah. I wonder
So I
like,
mean, it's a fine line you're gonna play with for
yeah,
sales. And I mean, I can show you my sales. I have no problem with that, with what I get off my truck and when you bring a locally grown product in, especially if that locally grown product, if you're growing a variety people aren't familiar with, if you're bringing me a card or something that I can even print that gives you an education on the background of that product. So people, I think locally grown is a way to go,
yeah.
especially for our short seasons.
Yeah, and we're in a similar boat in the Manitoba Co-op. Like we're a small store. We're like right now we're like 800,000 in sales ish, just to give an
Yeah.
idea. Like we're not huge. And similar, like, yeah, I can't take in a bunch, but then like I'm a producer too. I grow garlic and I know the store, so I know like I've got a good storage system. Like I've got a great storage system for garlic. So I'm it's a great market for me to I'm making 3 times less money on the garlic for as if I could have sold it direct for seed. But like, hey, I'm getting something. So like I have 60 pounds of smaller garlic that I could sell for food at $7 a pound. We're marking it up to 12. Certified organic local. People are buying it. But that's great. I mean, I got 60 pounds selling at $7. It's, what I would sell normally would be 20 something dollars for seed garlic or direct market. But I wonder if like there's like a messaging around like the consistency of like, okay, we're gonna buy in, so it's all transparent. Like we could only ever pretty much accept, 10 pounds of tomatoes, but we will buy it every week if you have it. So getting that like message out there of like, this is the price, this is the general amount, and then like people on the producer side, like that would be helpful to know like I have, 500 pounds of pumpkins, like how long do I have to store them? What will the trips be? And then if there is that kind of like ongoing relationship, like the price, the amount, I think like getting that out somehow might be helpful for local producers. I know
The
we don't do
gentleman
a
that
great
owned
job.
this store, before Jason bought the West Hope store, Carol Opdahl owned this store. And I think it was Jack and Jill. So he knew when I delivered for his customers, he would let them know what I had available. And he would actually take orders from them. So I would still deliver to him, but he would also, because I did a CSA same time, but they didn't want to pay the CSA membership, whatever. So then I would deliver just different boxes for what he took special orders on. And we kind of got around. I mean, he would maybe make $2 off that, whatever, because he wouldn't charge them above or whatever. But I was able just to bring them their own. That way Carol didn't have to up his and then maybe take a loss on it because, yeah, they said they wanted 10 pounds, but did they really? So, I mean, there's different ways and every community is going to be different.
Another conversation that kind of comes up around like farmers market pricing versus real retail pricing, um, is that it's a lot of work to be at a farmers market and set up and be there for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. Um, the grocery store is open, whatever your hours are, most days of the week. And so that could be a conversation between the producer too, is like, you're not at the farmers market. You can be at the farmers market even otherwise, and your stuff is getting sold in our store. So there's those sorts of nuanced conversations too. And I think you're right, Tracy. A lot of it is that relationship building with those local producers for sure.
Yeah. We did do that when Holly Mobby first started the farm to table. Because I mean, I know with the ag department, we put that on billboards across North Dakota. We really pushed that program in that time. Holly did a great job of trying to figure out, how to do that, because we all did farmers market. I mean, Holly and I still did farmers markets when we were delivering to all of these things. Farmers markets are great for that relationship that you get with all of those people that come on that Tuesday or that Saturday, wherever you're sitting. And sometimes it's just letting them, hey, I have produce, 7 days a week at this location, feel free to go in and purchase it. And maybe that's a way we can educate them. I never asked Holly how that worked, if it was a good thing or not, but I think it'll be a growing challenge for grocers and producers just to, work out the little wrinkles that are going to be in there to see what would best, suit both places, and how much, if this food hub would come, what are our storage options for some of that local produce? Because you're not supposed to store, potatoes and apples in the same bin in the fridge or even together, because you're going to lose product that way if we don't have a knowledgeable person that's in storage. And don't put tomatoes in store, in a cold place, leave them out, things like that. So that will, either the longevity of some of the product is not long. So I think figuring that out, and then how to get it to us after you guys get it at a food hub, because you have to be careful when you're going to say, okay, we're going to take your order to your store today. Well, if I have bananas on that refrigerated truck, they're going to freeze unless they're covered. Or, tomatoes they're not going to make it. So there, logistics like that, because if that stuff's cold and it gets to me and it's been too cold, it's not going to last on my shelf. So, and I call UNFI on this, and I call Russ Davis on this all the time. So you think after listening to me for 7 years that they would start covering my bananas and my tomatoes, but they don't. So, and that's just things that we face. And it's just to iron it out, because we don't want, I guess I don't understand if you guys are going to have the producer, local growers, after they deliver to the co-op, are they guaranteed a price? And are they just going to give you product and you guys are going to let us know, what's available? Does anyone know how that, business plan has worked, or if you have a model for that yet? Or Chris, have you thought about that at all?
I haven't. And this group isn't necessarily involved in that food hub project that we're going on. But yeah, that particular question, I have not come up with an answer for that.
I know the Bismarck Co-op, and I can only speak very little to this because I did not work with the Bismarck Co-op. I just helped set up the farm to school contracts after we didn't have the co-op anymore. And I know before it was kind of just a drop and get paid. And then the farm to school process was, what the school could take, they would take. But the producers, they weren't getting paid immediately. It was kind of like an invoicing type of system. And so, I mean, obviously with the Bisman Food Co-op, that ran into a lot of issues when it shut down, because there was a lot of producers who were left without getting paid for their final drop off. So that is definitely a difficult balance to strike, for sure. Tracy, I wanted to ask you, and I don't want to take too much time, but I know, with being in Botno and being in the first district health unit area, have you ran into any issues with like produce safety, those type of requirements with sourcing local?
No, because I didn't know about it. I do now, and I did talk to First District, and First District and I like to butt heads, and we have for 20 years. Because to me, a product that is grown, that has not been touched, cut, processed in any way, and is brought in, should be safe. It should be. It's not, they still, I guess, I've learned that they want you to have a producer's license. And I'm assuming you have to be inspected and those type of things. So when I put up my high tunnel, I was inspected. I mean, for 3 years, I had to follow very specific guidelines. And then when I worked under the Botno umbrella, and we were with farms, I think Holly Mobby, we did a lot of stuff with farms, and then Surf Basin. So I didn't have to have that because I was under that umbrella. We were doing that whole trial thing. So And at that time, my understanding was any local producer could walk into a store and the owner, manager, whomever could purchase that product from that grower and then, sell that at a retail, was my understanding. And until I had a meeting here a couple months ago, it's like, okay, that's no longer the thing because First District's playing hardball. And I can see for safety reasons, I completely understand 100% why it is that way. But I also heard last week when I talked to First District, they are willing to work with us and willing to see what they can do. I think they like when we ask questions. When I was telling them some of the things that I run up against being here with their regulations. And they're, like she said, she's willing to learn along with me and see if we can go forward. So their regulations are in place for a reason. And I understand that because I wouldn't eat at everybody's kitchen, just different things. And we all have different ways of doing it, but they are willing to work with us, get up and going. They've also said they would be in on, meetings. So, but that's just me as a retailer. I'm not talking to them as, a local grower. So maybe they might be different. So, and for me, I don't know if as on the retail side, if we would have to do something different, bringing in that local produce along with, I don't know what my insurance would say or do. I guess I would have to look into that. That's not something that I've even looked into. So if someone would get sick on that, botulism in tomatoes is bad, different things like that. So I think that's something that I would look into.
Casey, I had another question for you about like community partnerships. So you talked a lot about like, I don't know if it's the EDC or
Yep.
buying the turkeys and hams and stuff. That sounds great. Are there other community partnerships that you've had, like bringing folks in for food demos or samplings or other sorts of things? Like, I always like to mention county extension offices being a really good supporter of food and nutrition programs, but just wondering if you had other partnership opportunities.
I have not, but we have thought of speaking with Erin in Botno to see if she would come in and do some of those things. I think I'm leaning towards more like doing things with kids because there's a lot of kids. Sometimes they're at home in the summertime to make snacks or different. I did see, I think Lori Sharman. I don't know if she used to be in food nutrition, I think in Minot or somewhere, courthouse, but she used to do a lot of different nutritional snacks for kids. And she would, come to the schools and she would, or go up to our community center and teach the kids those different things and give them their simple ingredients and how to work things like that. So that's something that we're looking at for the summer, just to keep some of our kids involved. Because we do an Easter egg, we do things like that for our kids here. I supply eggs and then we do those. So with that community outreach, and because we work with the school a lot and we'll go up. So they job shadow us here and they come up here and work that way. So as far as that, I haven't done anything else with like the community type things.
Gotcha. Yeah, thanks. And then is there any opportunity for like that buying power with the school? Are there any conversations around that? Yeah.
There is. So was it last year or 2 years ago, they lost that I don't know what happened with the school contracts. So when they lost those contracts, we didn't make them contract, but they ordered all their stuff through us. There with that large amount coming in and me having to store it, we did a 5% above thing. Jason wanted 30, but that was ridiculous. They couldn't do that with their contract. I don't even know how the school contract works. And I'm not even gonna say I do, but now they're with Cashwa or Cashway, however you say that. But their business manager is always willing to sit down and look at a different supplier, at different cost. And he's very good that way. I'm not sure how school contracts work or how long they sign them for. So I would have to ask, but they're more than willing and they would order everything through us if it was, cost effective.
Yeah, it's a great partnership. You're right. That whole contracting and procurement process is
yeah.
I don't know how people understand it.
No, Is there any other questions that I could answer?
All questions going once, going twice? All right. Tracy, I hate to cut you off. It's such great information.
Oh,
But
you're
I
good.
know you've got a busy store you got to get to, so we'll let you pop off. And just so
Okay, thank
everyone
you.
knows, yep, thank you. This has been recorded, so if you saw part of it, you missed it, we'll put it up on our website. You can see it too. So thank you,
Okay, thank
Tracy.
you.
All right. So moving on, we've got a few minutes for updates on the North Central Regional Food Business Center, and then we're going to move on to member updates. A short list of updates for the North Central Regional Food Business Center. It was a little bit dicey there for a little while. We weren't sure if Business Builder launch would come out March 1st, just due to some um, confusion and some caution and abundance of caution around the federal funding. But we are, for the most part, back on track. And so that second round of the Business Builder grants should launch on March 1st. And coinciding with that, NDLFDA will also be launching their new website, which will house part of the Regional Food Business Center. So you'll be able to access the Business Builder grants from the new NDLFDA website, which is kind of a joint venture. It won't just be NDLFDA, it'll have some of our Regional Food Business Center information. So the current North Center Regional Food Business Center website would just be under the new NDLFDA one, the ndlocalfoods.org. Um, and yeah, let me see. Stephanie, are you on the call still looking? Okay. Did I cover everything for North Central Regional Food Business Center? Would you like to include anything else?
I think the main thing that people should know is that the grants are opening March 1st, and stay tuned for it's never too early to start thinking about projects that you might want to write grants for. You have help. We are here to help you. All of the regional planning councils and farms and NDARAC and the North Dakota Women's Business Center. So just reach out and we can connect you with the right person for you.
I have a quick question with that. So the regional business centers, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, is that correct?
Mhm.
So I just like wondering about just maybe a top-down question or like a 10,000-foot view question, but I wonder if like there could be a project that could the project itself could be a collaboration effort to connect Minnesota local foods with North Dakota and South Dakota and really like build up this regional, like we always think like food hubs like within our little community. And I think often like food hubs, sometimes fail because they don't have enough supply. And when you potentially bring in other states and other, you know, medium sized to large size specialty crop growers where we've got like a few growers that are growing 10 acres of carrots or something like that, and then we start to work together like within our three states, like could there potentially be a project idea that collaborates all three of our states efforts into collaborating our bigger hubs where we could actually supply a regional food? Could that be a project idea? And like if so, like who would be like a good person to collaborate on that with? Or I'm just brainstorming, but it's
I
something I've
think
been thinking about.
I think that sort of collaboration and coordination is exactly the goal of the North Central Regional Food Business Center. Now, whether something like that would specifically be allowable as a business builder grant, I don't know. But I think the place to start would be to connect you, Zach, with maybe Teresa Bertossi or Candace Zimmerman or someone at Region 5 in Staples, Minnesota, which is the regional council that is kind of the overall umbrella for this initiative. And I think that's a great idea and worth exploring and discussing more. So we're
Yeah.
happy to put you in touch with some of our connecting entities.
Yeah. Who is the person again, or Candace?
Well, there's a few people at Region 5 Development Commission in Staples, Minnesota. There's Teresa Bertossi, who is the USDA fellow, who is kind of our advisor for the whole project. And then maybe some of your Minnesota connectors, like Emily at Mesclata, um, who is your evaluator, um, and
Maybe
others.
connect with Emily and she could connect me with that group. Would that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing that Emily was trying to do, I don't know if they got to completing it or not, was like she was going to come up with like a, I don't know if it was like a list or something of all the projects that didn't get funded. Hopefully they're going to write it again, but then also just to know like what ideas are out there. But I don't know if she ever completed that or not.
I think we do have, those of us who are partners do have access to that list. Um, Probably just need to reach out to Candace or Teresa again. But yeah, that's exactly the goal of this. Like, it's not just the business builder grants. It's like, how can we bring more resources and support to all of these projects?
Yeah.
And I dropped Teresa's email in the chat there if you just want to shoot her an email. I just had that on hand. I didn't have the emails of some of the other individuals, but I did have Teresa's, so there's just a contact information for her. But then after this, we will compile the resources that we shared in the meeting. And if you need anything, Zach, you know who to talk to. You can email NDLFDA or me or Stephanie. A lot of people here to support you, give you answers. So yeah. Okay. So moving on to some of our member and NDLFDA updates. I'll get through the ones that we have here on the agenda and then I'll open it up for people to add their own. So first and foremost from the board, we just want to say thank you to those who filled out our NDLFDA strategic planning survey. We'll be meeting this Sunday and Monday to do our in-person strategic planning session. Um, and we'll be using that survey information to help inform, the future of NDLFDA, setting our goals and, finding funding and being more sustainable in the long term. So again, thank you to everyone who filled out the survey. I know this time of year is survey time. And so it can be really tiring to fill out survey after survey after survey. So if you did fill it out, we appreciate you. The second update have here, NDSU and SDSU. Sorry, that's weird. I never ever say that. NDSU and SDSU Extension High Tunnel Webinar Series. This is actually the last one. There was one earlier today, but February 25th upcoming about farmers markets from startup to takeoff. It is facilitated by our very own Jan Stankiewicz. So Jan, if you wanted to mention anything about that, I'll give the floor to you. If not, I can move on.
Yeah, no major updates. Thanks.
All right. Free to attend, just make sure you register. Secondly, Farms is doing a three-part Going Organic webinar series on the 3rd, the 17th, and the 31st of March from 6 to 8 p.m. Again, free to attend. Just please register beforehand. Stephanie, if you wanted to say anything on that, I'll give it over to you. If not, I can move on.
Just really briefly, I'm excited about this webinar series because we are bringing in some of the OGs of sustainable agriculture in our state, some of the folks who back in the late 70s were farming sustainably and came together to support each other, which developed into the Northern Plains Sustainable Ag Society and farms. And so these folks are now retired, but they bring so much passion for sustainable agriculture and this work, and they're just such cool people. So I hope you can join us, and if not, these webinars are all recorded. So.
Very cool. Say the OOs, the original organics, not the
Yeah.
OGs, the original organics. I muted myself. Okay. Next is an update from the North Dakota Department of Agriculture. We released our farm to school equipment grants, and those will be due March 31st. We are planning on having an informational session for people with questions and whatnot, probably sometime in the beginning of March. just in case anyone has questions. So essentially, you can use this farm to school grant as long as it's for the purpose of farm to school or a portion of its purpose for farm to school can be used to purchase processing equipment, physical improvements to a current setup. If you are having issues, produce safety, if you need traceability equipment, if you need storage equipment, coolers, freezers, if you're a school and you need equipment to process vegetables so you can purchase more farm to school, that's kind of what we're going for there. I would be your point of contact for that. I'm the local foods marketing specialist with the Department of Ag. Again, March 31st, and now we don't have a date set for an informational setting, an informational meeting, but we will have one here soon. So keep an eye out on socials and whatnot. And then lastly, for our updates is the USDA Rural Development Value Added Producer Grant. Applications for that are going to be due on April 17th, and Jill shared the webinar, which they'll have tomorrow at 10 a.m. I thought it was today at 10 a.m., but if they have another one tomorrow at 10 a.m., it'd be a good place to register to get your questions answered. Jill, if you wanted to speak more to that, if not, I can move on.
Well, no, I just mentioned that Casey's putting that on tomorrow with our business programs. And yeah, I thought it was today too, Jenna, but when it came out this morning, it is the 19th. So I encourage anybody, the Value Added Producer Grant, for those who may not be aware of what it is, it's an opportunity for producers who take a product from the raw product all the way through to the processing and then are marketing it. So some nice funding opportunities there. So please feel free to share that too. If you want me to forward it, I can throw my email in the comments too, but that does have the link to everything, what I have in there.
And I would add that if you're thinking about that webinar and that grant, and you're not sure if you count as a value added producer, I know a producer who got the value added producer grant. The value add was washing, packing, and labeling their produce and bringing it to farmers market. So it doesn't have to be that strict, like strawberries into jam or bread or wheat into flour. There's marketing can count as value add.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yes, thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Jill. And then updates from NDSU Extension. It looks like we've got another Field to Fork webinar tomorrow at 2 p.m. What is the topic for tomorrow, guys? Do we know?
About food recalls.
Food. Oh, yes. The anatomy of a food recall or something like that. Looking forward to that one. Last week or a couple weeks ago was how to grow your own flower or how to start your own transplants indoors with Don Kinsler. And I know you guys have those recorded as well. So again, this isn't on the agenda, but when we send out the email afterwards, I'll have the farm to fork information on there as well. So we got through all of our updates. Are there any updates that anyone else from any other organizations would like to include or let people know about? Going once? Going twice? Sold. Okay. We'll get out a couple minutes early today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I would say stay warm, but at this point it's futile. So just stay inside, really, is what you should be doing. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening. Have a great yesterday.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks,
Thanks, Jenna.
Jenna.
Bye.
Thanks, Jenna.